Yeah, hello everyone. This is our live workshop in doing our forensic analysis to a malware image that we uh, acquired from Volatility's repository in GitHub, which we can find so many types of malwares that of malware infecting memory memories in computers that we can use and practice our forensic analysis with. In this GitHub page, we can find how to install Volatility framework and the steps that we can follow in detail. Here we can find the malware that we will conduct our forensic analysis with and download it straight as an image. Ahmed. Okay, guys. The first thing we should do to is to know uh, the processes that are being run in this image, and to know what process is normal and what is not. First, we need to know the operating system that the RAM was running on, and for this we're gonna grip the or get the image info, which has the as we see here in the suggested profile, the WinXP, which is Windows XP, and when it was taken, and all the related information. It's like the label of the image, and this will give us a good idea, like what is normal to have in such operating system, and on that day. After knowing the operating system, we can go to the we start with the process list, so we can know all processes that are being run during the time of the image acquisition. And here we can see each and every process and where it was generated from. So here we can find the PID, which is the process ID, and the PPID, which is the parent process ID, which is the process that initiated the process we're looking for. Keep in mind that with PSList, we can find all the what we call plain sight processes. But if we go to try PSX view, we can display all the hidden processes that can be found regularly. And to have a hidden process, most of the time is a suspicious thing, because here we can find process 1696. We see that two falses in PS list and PS scan. That means it won't be presented or displayed there, nor in the sessions. So that's a pretty suspicious process that hides itself from detection. After this, we can go then to the connections, so we can investigate this further.
So here we're going to be looking at any open connections, any closed open connections, these connections, and we can see information about them. So here we have a couple of IP addresses and the process IDs associated with those. So we can actually then look at the process IDs itself and try and find some more information about the sockets and port numbers and open connections and things like that. So in here is where we can actually see that it's running SMB.
For ports 445 and 139.
Yeah, right there, 445, 139. And then we can use the information that we gather in those IP addresses to actually do a who is against the information and see who owns that IP address. And it comes back to IANA. So it doesn't tell us a whole lot about it, but it's good to know that it's just registered IANA.
Okay. After that, we're going to try to do the mem dump to find everything that inside that file. And to use that, we use the mem dump, and we have to know the process ID that we used, which is 1696, and the offset that we got it from utilizing the PSX view. As you can see here, when you use PSX view, we can see here the volatility offset P. This is the number that we need here, which is the network listen. And after dumping it, okay, now it's working. Okay, now it's done. After that, we will do the process dump to see all processes, to see the file whether it's executable or not. And to do that, we have to do the same thing, but we will change from the memory mem dump to process dump. And when you click, you can see from here the file is executable. And after that, after we dump the file, we can go to the where we have already saved it. We saved that file in the volatility file. So we have to go to the virus total and click on choosing file. And now we are already inside the volatility file. And from there, we can see here the 1619 execute. And here we can open it. And let's see the result. Okay, here from here we can ensure that there's some malicious inside that file. And after that, we want to see what inside that file. To do that, we have to do the strings. And here we go. We do the strings. So we try to do the grab all the strings that inside the network lister executable file, and you can see here all the routes and where that file exists, and you can see how many files are in there. And after that, we tried to do it, but we use the IP addresses rather than using the file name, as we see here. And it shows us all the IPs that inside that file also. And finally, we can do the list to see it. And let's see the list. And here we can see everything that inside that file. And from here, you can see the DLL files and the routes. After that,
After taking the process and memory dump, then we decided to take the DLL dump since we found some DLLs inside the file that Ahmad just looked at. So go ahead and run that for me, please. So here is the list of all the DLLs. And now we're going to also take a look at that in virus total to see if it is malicious or not. This is just to confirm our findings that Moix sample malware is indeed a malicious malware. Okay. So now we are uploading one of those DLL files into VirusTotal like we did for the executable of the process dump. And it also shows that it is indeed malicious and contains, horrible stuff. After taking the DLL dump, we're gonna then take a look at the privileges to see if any were enabled explicitly. So some of these privileges are enabled by default, and some of them the attacker had to enable it. And if you scroll all the way down, you're gonna see 2 privileges that were enabled explicitly, which is the loading and the unloading of the device drivers, and also removing computer from the docking station as well. So which meant there were suspicious things going on in the background. And after taking a look at the privileges, we're finally going to take a look at the registry information using the command of user assist. And pretty much what user assist does is it takes, it looks at the registry information for what kind of files or programs are run by a user. And we're going to try and when we ran this, we found the network listener executable, which was that hidden process that it was actually indeed run in the registry, which is, I think, right at the bottom. Yeah, which is right there, exactly. And we also saw this exact path inside when we're looking at the search, when we're searching the memdump results, we found this path of the network listener in that file as well. So this concludes our entire, malware analysis process from the beginning to the end. We looked at the image info. We tried to get some background information, what kind of operating system is it running. Then we looked at the processes. We found that just listing the process isn't going to really get us anything. So we decided to use another type of command to find the hidden process, because that is what the malware is. And we indeed found a hidden process. We looked at the open connections. We saw that there were suspicious ports opened, a remote address, possible for data transfer. And then after that, we looked at the memory dump. We took the process dump as well. We saw that those files were executable. We looked at the DLL dumps. We looked at, just as you saw, we put it into VirusTotal, and we also noticed that those were also malicious as well. Then we took a look at the privileges to see if any were enabled by explicitly, And finally, we looked at the registry as well. And this concludes our malware analysis of Moik's fuzzy hidden process. It is a Trojan that, pretty much installs additional malware and manipulates system resources. And one of the ways to protect yourself is just to use anti-malware and antivirus. And just email, don't download anything that you don't know, and pretty much try and be safe on the web. And that concludes our presentation. Thank you.
I believe, guys, there's something else that must be mentioned, that as we've seen when we've done the first two malware analysis, when we replicated to other existing analysis just to practice, we found out that each malware is different than the other, but they all pretty much start from the same starting ground, to know what operating system that we're using, and to by knowing this, we will know the normal processes that are being there, and then go to the process, and from there, if there's nothing suspicious, go to the connections. But I believe is if there's, like in our case, there's a hidden file that triggered our suspicion towards it. But if there's nothing, I guess normally we will have to go through each process and investigate it. But with keeping in mind that we don't want to go in a rabbit hole, so we won't, for example, spend days investigating a process and find out, okay, this process is a feature Microsoft developed and forgot about it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you agree with me on this.
Yeah, I do see where you're going with this. Just use the PSX view rather than, trying to go through each PS list to...
Actually, if there's nothing hidden, then we will have to go through each process.
Mm-hmm.
But the point is, I believe, is to make, I don't know, hypotheses and trying to approve it, instead of just going like crazy and investigate each and every process. Like with our case, the hidden file was clearly a smoking gun.
Mm-hmm.
But with, for example, with Crydex, what triggered our suspicion is that an Adobe file is making a connection, and that's weird.
Yeah, and it was attached to like the parent process ID as well.
Yeah,
so to see where it's
yeah, exactly,
mm-hmm.
exactly. And we know it wasn't supposed to do that.
Yeah,
and it wasn't hidden too.
Which makes
so I guess, yeah. So I guess And we made a hypothesis. I remember that we made a hypothesis. Okay, it might be a malware that has been disguised as an Adobe file reader, or an
Mhm.
Adobe file reader has been infected, and we approved it. And I guess this is the essence of the forensic analysis. It's not just going crazy and scan everything, as much as you're trying to uh, recognize pattern in the image you're looking into.
Mm-hmm. I definitely agree with everything you said. Do you want to add anything? No?
That
Okay.
pretty much
Yeah.
sums everything up.
Okay. Ahmad,
Anything
anything you
else?
want to add?
I think what Saleh says is correct. So it's not just trying to run all the commands that you see that we are running. No, you have to think about it. Have to know. You have to have a little bit of understanding about computer and how the systems are working to know which one should connect to which one and what port is the correct port and what port that the remote people or remote IP address shouldn't connect to. And you have at least have some knowledge about these ideas to have this investigation or to have something suspicious. Otherwise, you won't be able to recognize anything. But in our case, because if it's hidden, so it was a little bit clear. But I recommend always to do doing the con scan. It's really acceptable starting because for the people who have never who don't have any experience in the computer, so the on scan could help them to have some suspicious process IDs that could start from. But otherwise, for people who has experience or who knows a lot about the computer, so they could do more.
And to add
And
to what
Ahmed,
you said too, I think another starting point would be whatever malware analyzing, try to, research about it if there's any information out there, so know the kind of behavior, what is it supposed to do? It's supposed to hide itself, or it's supposed to, I don't know, find as much information as you can, and from there we can understand the behavior, then we can know what to look for. And if it's like a type where it was like a black box testing, we had no idea what to do, pretty much based on our previous experience with the two other malware analysis we did, where we were able to find the starting ground, and from there we explored more commands, and we just try to roll with the punches as it was going.
actually, I think there's a point that we forgot to mention, or maybe I didn't hear it. Ahmed, could you please go back to the uh, open connections scan that you did? I just want to point out what gave us the our how we came up with our hypothesis that this is a Trojan horse. Because at first, when we got to the open connection, we already knew, okay, this is our smoking gun, or this is the hidden process. This is the most suspicious thing we found. And when we run the open connections, we found that the ports that are being used are SMP ports, and there are more or less 5 transfer ports,
Mm-hmm.
and from a hidden process. And usually, this is the kind of behavior, as you said, Ori, and the Trojan horse would do. And we wouldn't be able to come up to this conclusion if we don't have the knowledge that Ahmed talked about networks. And this is basic network knowledge. So if every piece is or every piece of knowledge complements itself when we do any forensic analysis. And these small details are the ones that could lead you to something instead of going through a rabbit hole.
Right. So bottom line, have a basic understanding of what you're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Don't overlook anything.
Yeah. Well,
And don't download anything as I already said in the beginning. Don't download anything.
Download all the possible.
Virus total.
Don't click. Always don't click.
Look everywhere. Yeah.
Okay, guys.
Okay, thank you everyone. It was a wonderful
Yeah,
journey
thank
with
you.
you.